Uh, Good evening, everyone. I am happy to welcome you to this informative session about the scientific technologies and innovations and the opportunities and the digital economy era. In this session, we have highly accomplished international speakers with us. This is one event in a series of events that we will be planning. Unfortunately, we faced last-minute technical difficulties with some of the presenters, so we are still working on that. If they are able to join us, that will be great. Otherwise, we will certainly be planning additional sessions in the near future to welcome them as well. So thank you for your patience. I hope you had a chance to look at the videos as we were getting ready to start the event. Today we have 5 speakers. I'm going to be starting with the opening statement and talk a little bit about the digital economy. What is it? What are the opportunities in it, and where the investments are? Later on, Wasim Ghadban will be talking about Industry 4.0. Again, the type of applications, markets, and opportunities that it brings to the industry and to the economy. Saad Sabra will be speaking about the investments in disruptive technologies and how the World Bank looks at this at a global perspective and in the region. Later on, Dr. Antoine Berberi will talk about the cost of innovation and technology, the pros and cons, and how can we be socially responsible when we are dealing and working on innovations. And last but not least, we will have UNICEF program coordinator Jessica Hanna talk about digital literacy programs that are available for you and the entrepreneurship programs as well. And of course, by the end of the event, we will have a Q&A session. You're welcome to pose your questions in the Q&A session. Before we get started, I would like to share with you some demographics. We have around 540 registrations. We published the event on Monday, so in 3 days, I think that's a great success. The majority of the attendees are from Lebanon. However, we have also attendance from Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other countries in the Middle East. Interestingly, 40% of the attendance from the students specifically don't have a specific study of interest. And hopefully by the end of this session or the series of these events, we can get to excite you even more in into the scientific and the engineering and math arena. We have 50% high school students and 40% university students. So, and this is the target attendant profile of the people who are still in the early stages of their career, thinking and working on designing and shaping their future. So hopefully we can get the chance to help you make a plan and be successful. So in the housekeeping items, this event is recorded and you can watch it later and you can share it as well with your friends. You can ask questions in the Q&A section. And if you would like, you can look up the subtitles in the caption. You go to the bottom right and you can select the language that you would like to see the subtitles in. French, Arabic, and Spanish are available. In SAAB RDS, we empower our clients to achieve sustainable success while accelerating emerging and complex technology acquisitions, technology commercializations, and industrial digital transformations. That's our purpose, and that's what we work on. When we look at the scientific achievements and innovations in the past years, I have to start by looking at the life expectancy and how in the last 100 years, just 100 years, we see this substantial increase in the life expectancy rates, which is amazing for me. I mean, if you think about it, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, to be specific, if you lived up to 35 or 40 years old, you're old. And so today, we are just getting started. It's very normal to expect people to live up to 80 years old, 70, 80, 90 years old. This is very normal. It's very normal to see decreasing death rates in the infants, in the newborns. And this is thanks to so many achievements and innovations. And today you will look at them and you will take them for granted. You think this is normal to have them. But in the past, this is not normal. These are massive, disruptive, life-changing, socially changing achievements. So you can see every one of these innovations is saving billions and millions of lives. And the list is long. It's too long. And this is thanks to the continuous research and development in the scientific disciplines. We always have to find a better way to solve problems, a faster way, a more efficient way to consume less energy, to improve the quality of life, to increase safety, and so on and so forth. And this is really the purpose of every engineering and scientific discipline. When I say scientific, it includes medical and all the related scientific related functions and ecosystem. And all its engineering and technical and vocational type of functions. The impact is very clear. So the humanity and basically the world population is exploding. Now, many will debate if this is good or bad, how much we can sustain, how much the world can really have. But this is a different debate. I think there are so many policies and laws that could be done to manage this and make it sustainable. It doesn't mean people have to die to manage this. So when we talk about scientific discoveries and innovations, we have humanity have seen multiple industrial revolutions. From the first industrial revolution until today, there are so many different technological achievements that enabled the innovations to happen. We couldn't talk about transistors 200 years ago. We had to have electricity and so on and so forth. So today we talk about so many technological achievements and disruptive technologies that couldn't have been made possible in the past. And this is why every time, every era, every decade, every generation has a role to play. The difference is that the complexity is getting higher. The speed at which people have to react and respond and adapt is getting faster and faster and more complex. And this is the challenge, I believe, for every age. There is a curve, we call it the bell curve, which is a normal adoption for technologies. Once a new technology is invented, it takes a certain curve to be adopted and to become in the mainstream. As for example, if you look at autonomous vehicles, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, it was an impossible thing. Maybe it was a computer simulation only. Today, it's available, and so on and so forth. So there is a curve in which there is by default some challenges for this technology to become commercialized and to become available. If you would speak about mobile phones and smartphones 20 years ago, and this is specifically in the late 90s, we didn't have a smartphone at all. So anyway, all these technologies follow the same curve. And what's interesting about this is that if you notice on the right side, these technologies, once invented, once they have a business case, once they start being adopted, there are certain procedures and certain policies that need to be in place at the institutions, and this is applicable at the government level, at the private sector level, at the public and private sector, at all levels. to make sure that these technologies will serve the needed objectives. And the most important element of these technologies that will make it successful or break it is the human capital, the one that you see on the right side. And this is the aspect and the purpose of this event, is to discuss the human aspect, not really the technologies per se, because it highly depends on the people. How can we react to this technology? How can we drive this technology? And how do we behave with this technology? So we're talking about the when and the how of the digital economy. And now I will get to talk about what is a digital economy. The question is, how intense is this? And this is really why this is so important for us to talk to you about it today, because it affects our future. It affects your future. It affects the humanity. It can really put us and make us a player in the global digital economy, or maybe not. As you can see here, there is and this is very new information I got yesterday actually. Follow the money. It's very easy. If you want to know where the opportunities are, where the jobs are, in what field, in what aspect, find out who's investing and what and where. And you can see here, it's very easy. $100 billion are invested just in the digital economy. Of course, across the globe. You can see Saudi Arabia investing 45 billion, UAE 15, and other SoftBank in Asia 28, and so on. And this is just one fund. It's just one fund. How big is the economy? It's almost now 15.5% of the world GDP. And this is huge. It's $11.5 trillion. It's a huge number. Anyway, going back to the digital economy, it is at the core the hardware and software and the information and communication technologies that work together to make up a solution or a system. Based on that, the narrow scope of the digital economy are the value creation services and products that companies can deliver and can build. For example, surveillance systems, medical equipment, machines, condition monitoring systems, power plants, and so on and so forth. The broader scope is a digitalized economy when these businesses talk to each other in the digital form. So you can, for example, and that's what you hear today about, like Industry 4.0. Wasim will be speaking in details about it specifically, but there are other things like precision agriculture, fintech, blockchain technologies. All these are not just building a new economy, they are disrupting existing technologies. They are disrupting and changing the jobs, displacing jobs. They are creating new ecosystems and new markets. And of course, they span across multiple sectors and multiple industries. And this is the beauty, because when you are a player in the digital economy, you can change your career or change your function or your job from a company to another, because this is a highly transferable skill. I'm going to move quickly. So what are these disruptive technologies? To name a few: autonomous robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, cybersecurity, IoT, systems integration, and big data. And they are making massive changes across the globe. What's to be highlighted here is that these skills, because of the speed at which they are changing over time, the shelf life of these skills is much shorter. So we're talking about 2.5 to 5 years on average skill and reskilling needed, which means everybody has to continuously learn. And this is the mindset that we would like really to pass on to you on this call, is we need to change from the mindset of learning a course or a program and getting a certificate or a diploma and believing that's it, now we can go and hit the market and get the best job ever. No, it's a mindset that we have to have all the time. So you see, the successful and the best practices in this sort of industries is the continuous learning and development. If you have the entrepreneurship mindset and you would like to make a solution or a system, or you start your own business, the cost to starting a business is also very affordable. It is easily accessible nowadays. It doesn't require a big capital investment to start with a high-tech or a technology venture. So this is how the future and actually the current learning framework. You're certainly in the last year or so, you have already seen a lot of technologies coming into the education sector, from tablets to desktops to calls and meetings and digital ways to interact with your professors and the bigger organization. This is going to be the future. In the education, in the university and post-graduation, that's going to be the new normal, where you will have in-person courses and you will always have digital, tailored, on-demand education. And when I say on-demand, meaning if you don't know a specific topic today, you can simply take a course within a week or two, and then you will know it. It's not just, oh, this is what I know, and that's it. And that's how the bigger organizations that will hire people, they will not only assess about what you know today, they will assess how fast can you learn. And that's a very important element as well that you need to consider. So these are the, I think according to Deloitte Digital, these are the core technical skills and the core adjacent skills that you need to consider building, in addition to the discipline that you like. So if you are doing medicines, it doesn't mean you just have to learn the medical part. You need to learn artificial intelligence. It's a must. You need to look at what is big data and how you can use it to your benefit. And in any field of science, these are like basic skills. Like today, everyone uses a Microsoft Office or a computer. This is going to be the basic functions and the basic skills that you need to have to be successful in the future. And to add more specifics, in the Middle East, we have challenging, daunting numbers. For example, in Saudi Arabia, 7% of the graduates are in the STEM field, and that's a big challenge. How can we build and move into a digital economy and build the economy successfully with the local talent when we only have 7% of graduation in that field? Similarly speaking, companies operating in the Middle East don't find this talent here. They find it from elsewhere. They hire expats. So, and this is an opportunity for the locals. This is the opportunity for us as Arabic region and for the locals as well to start building these skills so we can fill the talent supply shortage and contribute positively to this growing economy. Finally, I have to share with you how companies and corporations hire. And again, they don't hire you because you have a certification in Microsoft C# programming or Python or anything. They hire you because if you have a growth mindset, if you show and you can tell them in the CV and you can exhibit this in the interview, how adaptive you are, how capable to move and to become a team player and continuously push yourself outside your comfort zone. Because we can train for skills. If you don't know Python, we will teach you. This is not an issue. What we cannot change is the behavior. We cannot change that you don't show up on time. We cannot change if you are respectable to our colleagues. We cannot change, again, your culture and your behavior. This is something you either have it or you don't. So make sure you build on that and you show it in your CV. So the takeaways, I have tried to make it as simple as possible. but this is for you to think about, go through it. These are transferable skills that you will need to be successful in any function or any job you need. Continuous learning. You need, most of all, is to understand the value and the importance of these skills. If you don't believe in them, no need to speak. You have to understand why they are important and why employers evaluate you on that. And of course, when you are doing your CV, make sure that you show that. Tell us how do we see that you have these skills in your CV without you even speaking? Every time we open a position, we get thousands of CVs, and there's no way we can speak to a thousand applicants. We have to see the applications that stand out, and we have to pick to find or to talk to 20 or 50, and that's the best we can do. Finally, I would like to bring to our attention that there are programs that can help you in moving forward. For example, this Crossroads Emerging Leaders Program, or SAAB. This is a leadership development program initiated by Harvard professors for emerging markets. It helps develop leadership skills. It's for a specific profile of applicants. So you have to be the first in your family to attend a college. You need to show that you are from a low-income family. You cannot afford basically to go to top-tier schools because of the money. And the purpose is really to tell you that knowledge and information and education is available for everyone. So if you fit within this profile, I think the deadline is actually on March 22nd. It's a few days from now, 4 or 5 days. Look at the links below, and please go ahead and apply if you like, and also notify the local Harvard Business School Club of Lebanon on the email that is also mentioned, hbsclublebanon@yahoo.com. In the past years, we did not see a lot of applications from Lebanon, and I think, and neither from the region. We mostly see from Africa and from India. So therefore, I highly urge you to look at the details of this program and to apply. So I finish with this quote. You don't need to be strong to survive. You just have to be adaptable to change. And with this, I turn it over to Wasim to excite us about Industry 4.0 and let us dream about the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Rodrigo, and thanks for arranging this initiative. It's a great initiative to share our experience and knowledge with all students in the region. So the goal is simple. We want to make sure that you guys, you can find your goals based on what's going to happen, what are the future jobs. What you don't need to start from now, let's say, think about traditional jobs or traditional studies. So today we are going to cover like what is industrial revolution, what is fourth industrial revolution, what are the future jobs, and how we can achieve all of these. So I will cover the fourth industrial revolution. I'll give you an overview about the revolution. I'll give you an overview about our company and the jobs that we have, the available jobs, and we'll talk about the future of jobs and digital technologies. So I've selected this video that will give you an overview about digital transformation and fourth industrial revolution.
Once upon a time, business as usual was often good enough. No more. Where we are going, good enough is dead. In a world where everything is connected, where everything is equally excellent, where performance is reaching perfection, there's only one space left to innovate in: you. Right now, you are a central point in the raging tornado of change fueled by digitization, mobilization, augmentation, disintermediation, automation. Well, the list goes on. Science fiction is becoming science fact. Think about self-driving cars or computers that can learn and think. The way we work will never be the same. The skills we need will be dramatically different. Winning or losing are now happening faster than ever before. So what's your response? How will you discover new opportunities in one of the most transformational times in human history? Are you driving change, or are you being driven by it? Disruption has become the new normal. With change, it's always gradually, then suddenly, well, things really have stopped happening gradually. This change is exponential. Everything that used to be dumb and disconnected is now wired and intelligent. Cars, cities, ports, farms, even our bodies will be wired with sensors and will talk to each other. These game changers are also combinatorial. They amplify each other, creating a perfect storm of change. Quantum computing fuels big data. The Internet of Things fuels artificial intelligence and deep learning, which fuels robotics. However, anything that cannot be digitized or automated will become extremely valuable. Human-only traits such as creativity, imagination, intuition, emotion, and ethics will be even more important in the future, because machines are very good at simulating, but not at being. Yes, robots and software will do some of our work, but this will allow us to focus on things that cannot be automated. To imagine change squared, you've got to start engaging more with what might be, not just with what is. Immerse yourself in the immediate future, 5 to 7 years out from today. We need to go beyond technology and data to reach human insights and wisdom. Technology represents the how of change, but humans represent the why. The future is about holistic business model. The opportunity is to be liquid, to learn just in time, not just in case, not single improvements, but complete transformations, not individual systems, but new ecosystems. Humanity is where true and lasting value is created. We will engage, relate, and buy things because of the experiences they provide, because of their transformative power. The future doesn't just happen. The future gets happened. The new way to work is to embrace technology, but not to become it. The future is in technology, yet the bigger future lies in transcending it. Let's live and lead from here.
So let's live and lead from here. So talking about fourth industrial revolution, let me simplify the terminology here. So the first one is mainly about mechanical engineering. The second one is mostly about electrical. The third one is about IT. And the fourth one is about Internet of Things, where everything is connected. So the future is now. Currently, what we are looking for is like how we shape many industries using technologies, how we connect everything, and everything is synchronized. That's what we call fourth industrial revolution. Let me give you an overview about the company. Are you able to hear me, Rodrigue?
Yes, I can hear you. I think we can hear you.
Okay, good. So SNC Lavalin, the company that I work with, started in 1911 in Canada, and in 2014 we acquired Kent's, the oil and gas company, and in 2017 we acquired Atkins and Houston Offshore Engineering. And today we are a global company with 44,000 employees who are distributed in different regions and countries. The main office is in Montreal, and another office in London, and definitely we have here in Middle East a good presence. So We are shaping the future of many industries by these digital technologies, by innovative solutions that we provide to our clients. We are working in smart cities, energy, nuclear power plants, environment, industrial infrastructure, mining, security and defense, transportation and water, space, for instance. So we are connecting people, technology, and data. And as Rodrigue mentioned earlier, it's not about only technology, it's about us. So the fourth industrial revolution will help us to improve our future. So it's a people, technology, and data. Our vision and our goal is really to achieve a global ecosystem where everything is connected and to achieve a net zero. Why I'm sharing all of this? Because we have many jobs published in our website. So please visit our website. Don't call me. Visit our website. There are more than 1,000 jobs available now. You can apply. There are in different regions, different countries, different disciplines, different industries. And also we have a program for internship. So you can apply as well if there are opportunities in different countries that you are targeting. So what are the future jobs? I know that Rodrigue covered a lot, and many of these jobs that started now and it's going to be improved. There is a big demand for the coming 5 to 10 years about digital engineering. And you don't need to be a digital engineer. If you are a mechanical engineer, you can improve your skills, having this understanding about digital innovation, how you can improve your skills by being able to implement new ways to traditional works. What does it mean? So as we know, currently, like the World Economic Forum listed rapid technology innovation, globalization, demographic shifts, climate change as having a huge impact to work and skills landscape. So it's not only technology, there are many changes that is affecting our work and skills required in the future. So mainly what is required is really related to Internet of Things, about data, about analytics, about AI, machine learning, softwares, big data analysis, new technologies, let's say digital twin, smart cities, everything related to data and information and connections is really required in the future. And as you see here, this is what we require in the emerging technologies in the near future, everything related to Internet of Things, everything is related to fourth industrial revolution. And the skills are changed. So the repetitive tasks are not required anymore, like because it's going to be replaced by robots. So the skills that's really required, and I'm sure that Dr. Marwan will cover them. So everything related to critical thinking is definitely required. People that's having like capability for problem solving, self-management, working with people, technology. So regardless your job, you need to have these capabilities, digital capabilities, your technology capabilities. You can enhance your daily tasks by applying these technologies, by applying these skills. So it's very required for the future. Otherwise, you will not find a job. So it's very required that from now you start to improve your skills, technological skills, your skills required for critical thinking, how you analyze things in different ways. So innovation, you hear a lot about innovation these days. So innovation is not creating new things, is rather than improving the traditional ways by technologies, mainly about technologies. Not everything about technology, but 90% of initiatives these days are based on technologies, advanced technologies. So if you search for all the market surveys about the future of jobs and the requirements and the skills, so mainly as you see here, everything is related to software in the future. The coming 5 years is really about future for the computers, for information, medical is also required. So everything related to data, and that will be required in the future. And we've seen as well, like the industries, regardless of the industries, whether it's like engineering, construction, medical, sales, retail, everything requires now digital capabilities, digital skills. And if you look at the new jobs that's now available in the market, for sure not the Beachbody coach, I'm just focused about these 10 jobs, the new jobs. 8 of them is related to Internet of Things, whether it's data analytics, or data science, or UI design, cloud computing, cybersecurity, digital marketing. Digital marketing definitely is going to be required because all the business now is based on digital marketing. They are using all these platforms for analysis to push the data, to push their material, marketing material to the audience, to clients. So this is very required in the future. I really stress this point about digital marketing. And you will tell me, okay, so how we can achieve the jobs, how we can learn. So mainly, if you look at the remote demand these days, so remote jobs required in different countries. So even though you are like in your country, in Lebanon or any country in Middle East, you can work in all these fields. You can work, you can achieve these jobs, and you can work in different countries remotely from your location. You don't need to transfer. Your physical presence in the future won't be counted. For instance, my team now working from different countries, from different locations, and we are working on projects here in the Middle East and other regions. So really, your physical location won't count in the future. So you can apply remotely. There are big list of jobs available, and this is like analysis we run on LinkedIn. There are big list of jobs available where companies are looking for remote positions. So as you see, it's a big list, and there is a big improvement. And robots, yes, will take a big place, but people who is going to develop the scenarios for robots will find great jobs in the future. And as you see here, the big demand, we're talking about 149 million new jobs that will be created that requires digital expertise, digital jobs. And how to learn? This is always like the question for students. Okay, do I need to be like in like private university? I don't have money, and it's very difficult. You don't need. Maybe definitely it's going to be better. Maybe if you learn like in a good university, but if it's not the case for you, right? It wasn't the case for me, for instance. But here we are. You can learn, you can self-learn many things because information now available. They are available in different platforms. So what I recommend is really that you define your goal, define a set of expertise, an area of expertise. So regardless of your current job or the target job, you need to have like an area where you can really build your expertise, your skills. You can improve your skills. So you'll be like a subject matter expert in this area. You find a mentor, your cousin, someone from your country, your village. I don't know, just find a mentor. So ask him about his experience and let him help you to improve your skills in this specific area of expertise and learn, always learn. As I said, information is available everywhere now. It's easy to learn and you don't need to be like really in a fancy and private university. Self-learning is very important. Read articles, attend webinars. There are many free webinars available like this one. And search for anything that you cannot understand. Just search. The information is there. And engage yourself. Create a profile in LinkedIn. Search in YouTube. Check the webinars. There are many description published in Google. So everything that you don't understand, just search for it. You can learn a lot from all these platforms. And I really recommend that every one of you having a profile, a professional profile from now, a LinkedIn profile. You can see a lot there. You can see the business, you can see the trends, you can see jobs. Everything is published there and for free. So what are the technologies for the future and how they are affecting our business? So talking about 5G, cloud computing, Internet of Things, which is the main pillar of fourth industrial revolution. Digital twin, we developed the digital twin for 8 dimensions, is going to be now a norm for all industries. Digital content, advanced analytics, AI, machine learning. So you see all these companies now, the big companies, successful companies are based on technologies, the advanced technologies, whether they want to improve their business internally or to improve their selling. So it's a big list, as you see here, starting not only engineering, all kinds of industries, they are counting on these technologies. And I just share this slide with you here because to show you that currently, last year we had 50 billion devices connected. Your phone is connected. You have many devices at home is connected. And as of today, we have 50 billion devices. And this is what we call Internet of Things, a global ecosystem. And the goal is really to connect all these devices in a synchronized way to form the global ecosystem. And as you see here, for instance, just to give you an idea about engineering and construction companies, they are mainly based their future on technologies. So the technology, digital technology, is the differentiator now for the business. It will reduce cost for operations, reduce cost for engineering, and reduce cost to deliver the projects to our clients. We count on technology. It's not only us, all companies. And another area that will lead or led to this improvement and this demand of digital, the price, for instance, for a robot these days, you can buy a robot like just $20,000 to do the work. So the cost, the functionalities are improving and the cost is reduced. That's why all countries, all digital innovators, they are counting on these technologies, and robots is one of them. The speech, for instance, for like the speech in your phone or the speech in robots, like facial recognition or AI recognition, is better than us now. As you see, this is the trend, is improved. In 2016, AI is better than us for voice recognition. The detection, we use it, currently we use it for safety, to improve safety, and also it was used in China for the, for the COVID stuff. And these recognitions are much better than us these days. So you can recognize facial recognition, the distance recognition. All of these are using now technologies. All these goals are using technologies, and it's much better than us. So to give you an overview about these technologies, automation is not new in the market, but now the level of automation that we can use in many industries, and definitely that's going to be a great demand in automation to achieve remote operation, to achieve autonomous operations. Everything related to immersive technologies, AR, VR, mixed realities, this is going to be required in the future. We start to see big applications implemented in different industries, whether it's medical or in the engineering or operations, where you can overlay the physical world by digital information. IoT, as I said, is going to be like a target. And IoT is going to be used to collect more data, analyze this data, and to create like information, accurate information from this data. This is where advanced analysis will take place. And this is where companies will use all this analysis to help them to take better decisions. Analysis, data analysis, again, how to structure the data, how to analyze this data is going to be a great role required by all industries. Digital twin and IT that complement each other. There are different levels of digital twin, and currently we are not like before. We used the 2D for engineering or 3D. Now we are talking about 8D, where you can create a digital twin for any physical object or physical asset, and you can synchronize the two copies together. So this is now used for smart cities, used for automated vehicles, is used for operation, digital asset, we call it digital asset. So I encourage everyone to learn about digital twin because it's become a norm for engineering and operations. All kinds of solutions and technologies that will help operators to do the job properly, where like information is available for the right team at the right time from any location. And the traditional ways of doing like inspection is no longer there, because currently we are using different ways. We are using satellites for water leak, for instance. We are using drones for inspection, for progress measurement. We are using like sensors to collect the conditions of equipment. So there are different ways to do all these tasks that used to be before like cost a huge money, and now you can achieve all of these like just by satellite without any additional instruments installed outside. Data processing is also another area, a great area actually. So you need to collect all this data, as we said, these days from different devices, IoT devices, whether your phone or cameras or satellites, And you need to analyze this data. This is what we call data processing. And it's used now for many industries to enhance safety, to protect assets, to control access, detect behavior. And it's used also for control maintenance. So you can see the vibration of an equipment, for instance, and detect failure. The smart cities is a great area. So all this, what we described before, technology is going to be used as well in smart cities. So you can collect more data, you can synchronize all this data together. So like signals will be, like will open, for instance, for emergency cars. Everything is going to be connected. So you can find like a parking before you reach it. You can select a gas station, which is less crowded, just by Google Maps. You know which one. So all this live information is going to be shared. And this is like, as you see now, we see NEOM, we see Dubai, they are implementing this kind of concepts. The machine learning, what used to be like futuristic about machine learning, we are applying now in different industries. So for instance, all what we need to know is, for you, if you design a pump, we need to know what is the income and what's the outcome, how many times it has been repeated. So we can develop the same pump. We can design the same pump by machine learning. So machine learning, we learn historical information from previous experience and we repeat the same. We don't need to know what happened in between. All what we need to know is the input and the output. The 5G, we've talked about it before. This is going to enhance the way that we are collecting data. It's really required in the future. So whoever like studying communication, make sure that you focus on 5G, how we can achieve additional integration, additional capture of data by 5G. There are many solutions. I don't want to list all of them related to mixed realities, extended collaborations, now used by different industries, and it's going to change the way that we operate. It's going to change the way how we live. Business intelligence also, as we said, there are big solutions, big list of technologies, and skills are required. So regardless your current job or the future job, you make sure that you understand the business intelligence, how you retrieve the data, how you analyze your data. It's very required in the future for any job. And that's it for me. And again, thanks, Rodrigue, for this great session. And looking forward to have additional sessions, and I'll be happy to answer your questions later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Wasim, for this very insightful view about the fourth industrial revolution. And now I turn it to Saad. Saad Sabra, he's the senior country officer at the World Bank in Lebanon and Syria. And he's going to give us an overview on how do they invest in, how does the World Bank invest in disruptive technologies. So Saad, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rodrigue. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, great. This is a great opportunity. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. I'm going to share a screen just to start from where everyone finished, and just to try to complement most of the discussions that were made. So, as Rodrigue said, my name is Saad Sabra. I'm the country head, senior country officer for IFC, which is a member of the World Bank Group based in Lebanon. I also cover Syria. Just by virtue of providing some background, IFC is a member of the World Bank Group, and it's actually the largest multilateral agency in the world that provides advice and investment and resource mobilization to the private sector. IFC is owned by more than 185 countries, and it's actually present in more than 100 countries. For those who are interested to know more about the World Bank Group, the traditional agency that's referred to as the World Bank is referred to in technical details as the IBRD. And this slide right here shows you the different agencies that work under the World Bank Group, and IFC is one of them, and it's focused solely on the private sector and solutions to the private sector, and in providing sustainable development interventions to the private sector. The World Bank Group in general is aimed to end poverty and boost shared prosperity and establish sustainable development measures through economic growth in emerging and developing markets. And this is like what we refer to as the twin goals of the World Bank Group. And I thought this would be useful for you. But in general, to meet these development goals, the different agencies of the World Bank focus on different segments of economies, and while IDA and IBRD, which are referred to as the World Bank, work with governments, IFC and MIGA work with the private sector. And here, the business model that we work under at the World Bank Group is based on a number of developmental goals that are, for starters, based on global reach. They are country-led, and they look at the public and the private sector together, and they convert. They work on convening powers and partnerships and establishing finance and knowledge in these different markets that we work in. The World Bank Group as a whole, as far as the last fiscal year of 2020, has total commitments of over $77 billion, which are divided as part of loans, grants, and equity investments and guarantees, and we also provide advisory services. Now, the IFC in specific has a different mission, or a more specific mission, that looks at creating jobs and increasing incomes and improving lives for the private sector. And this is built on different segments of sector-focused interventions, but where disruptive technologies is actually a key segment that I will get into in a little bit. And again, just to show you that IFC has been around for more than 6 decades, we have invested more than $321 billion in different markets, and we mobilize private capital, and we leverage our full range of support through the World Bank Group capabilities. IFC's new strategy, which was approved less than a few years ago, is based on what we call creating markets. And this, as you can see, promoting competition and innovation is actually a key element of our focus areas. And this is where disruptive technologies come in. Again, when it comes to IFC strategy, which I referred to, it's referred to as IFC 3.0, creating markets and mobilizing private sector capital into these developing markets is our focus strategy. And in this, I would like to dwell a little bit more around the discussion that we're having today, which is really to see how reinventing business and through the disruptive technologies becomes very important. And I would like to focus a little bit around where international organizations that provide finance are interested in providing or sort of establishing these transformational capacity that disruptive technologies are providing. And to us, disruptive technologies is not only transforming societies, it's also transforming economies. And in that, where does the mobilization of finance, or what we call bankability, becomes important? And for the audience of today, I thought it would be very important for you to get some, or for me to shed some light around how disruptive technologies are quite important when it comes to mobilizing finance to the private sector. So today, the notion that we're discussing is built on a number of factors. The first factor is to create, to establish disruptive technology support and disruptive technologies. We need to ensure that the impact on the private sector is measured very thoroughly, and and understand what it means exactly for disruptive technologies to be established in different markets, and every market has different dimensions. So in that, I'd like to emphasize that creating an enabling environment for disruption is very important. We hear about the different evolutions of technologies and in different segments, but really it's important that technological innovations and disruptions do not take place in a vacuum. They need to be part of a context that makes sense, that nations and governments are able to establish the regulatory environment that is needed. And several important issues like privacy, data security, and competition and other things have become very important both at the micro transactional level, but then also at the macro level. So this is where it is important for international organizations or international finance associations that are focused on trying to mobilize the needs for this sector. That the enabling environment or the authorizing environment becomes quite essential. With that, what do we mean? We mean that it's also very essential to have what we call the digital infrastructure in place. For instance, it's, I might want to refer to the fact that the World Bank group, for instance, invested in a project that deployed fiber optic lines that were built over 250 miles that were driven to establish connection to technology solutions to more than 200 million people in Africa. That is one specific aspect about what digital infrastructure means. But when it comes down to investing in digital infrastructures in different economies, the focus is to benefit the poor, because 7 in every 10 people in the bottom fifth of populations do not have access to specific technologies, including a mobile phone. So the focus today is to see if we can be inclusive as far as providing that type of access to services, including digital infrastructure. And so what would be, to international organizations and to the audience today, what would be, I think it would be important for you to know where international organizations strategize their position with regards to sectors, and what are the sectors that are quite important to international organizations when it comes to disruptive technologies. I think I would like to start with the basic type sectors that are very important, and maybe in the context of our region, and maybe more specifically to Lebanon, disruptions in sort of core basic infrastructure services, like for instance power, where access to clean, reliable, affordable electricity is essential, and the development in these of solutions to disruptive technologies in these markets becomes very important. And in that, I think one tends to think that disruptive technology is specific to like the services sector, or sort of the type of needs that are often misunderstood of being like more at the mainstream. I think it's important to keep in mind that disruptive technologies could also be applied across different levels, even at the downstream and the upstream levels. And so power sector is very important, and for instance, IFC had just invested in a 7 megawatt rooftop solar solution in Gaza in the Middle East, and that was based on an example that we have done in Brazil, which established an LNG or power sector project that display heavy fuel and oil diesel fire generation and using disruptive technology. And in that, what IFC and the like development financial institutions are interested in is to mobilize that type of financing to such projects. The other very basic services or infrastructure service sector that can enjoy or benefit from innovations is transport, where today transport technologies in emerging markets such as global positioning and big data analytics allow for real time tracking of goods and people, and to also help increase productivity. These technologies are reducing food waste in developing economies and developing countries, and the services such as bringing increased mobility to citizens in those nations is very important. And so we believe very strongly that certain aspects of the transport sector are very important to invest in, including those I just mentioned, but also other aspects like e-logistics, and technologies that can evolve. And I think some of the colleagues have already covered some of those, like blockchain technologies, and those that can help entrepreneurs in smaller and less developed markets to link more closely with advanced economies. The other sector that is quite important and sometimes neglected when it comes to disruptive technologies is disruptions in water and desalination solutions. And this is where these major global developmental issues or developmental gaps in access to basic services like water and desalination solutions are usually neglected. And IFC and many other developmental financial institutions are very keen on supporting innovative technologies or implementation of efficient water solutions, and this is a sector that I think the audience today might be interested to keep in mind as part of their target areas of interest. Now, when it comes to mainstream or real sector segments that also enjoy or have been enjoying the disruptive technologies, the evolution of disruptive technologies, is technologies in manufacturing and technologies in agribusiness, and actually, it goes without saying, the two very evolving or very highly developed sectors like edtechs and fintechs. All of these are mainstream sectors that are very busy when it comes to mobilization of finance through special funds, through venture funds, that entities like IFC is keen and have been keen on being part of. Finally, I think it's important to also mention that there are cross-cutting themes that are very important when it comes to interest of mobilizing finance for disruptive technologies. I will mention a few, but I'm sure there are many others. And so, disruptive technologies that cover gaps for gender development, those that are technologies that look at climate smart or climate changes, and certain areas where are very important when it comes to creating jobs and tackling developmental gaps like microfinance, like housing finance, like other types of cross-cutting themes that are very important for international organizations. Finally, I want to say, it is always important to keep in mind that the evolution is continuing, but for us as financiers, I think it's quite clear that the mobilization of funding remains very much available. It is really a matter of establishing a bankability framework that would make sense when it comes to expanding the role of the private sector and the private sector solutions. But today, I can assure everyone in the meeting or in this call that there is no limit as far as the type of support that's available when it comes to finance. It is really being able to fulfill certain aspects, and today, while globalization is an important factor that we all know of, especially when it comes to technology, but when it comes to mobilizing finance to technological solutions, it is often driven by certain aspects that are either sector focused or country focused. So I hope that everyone would benefit from looking at the IFC website, ifc.org, and in that you will find a wealth of resources and a wealth of information that would be very useful for you to understand what segments are key as far as mobilizing finance and where the private sector would come in. And I would be very happy to answer specific questions that anyone might have. So I'll stop here and back to you, Rodrigo.
Thank you very much, Saad. I want to say the money, access to investment and funds is not a problem. The problem is the innovation, and the problem is making bankable business cases. That's the important part, and it's highly related to how we think and how we can position the problem to fix it. Thank you very much for this deep insight, and I'm sure this gives us more assurance and exposure on never to let go a problem simply because we say there is no money. There is always someone who has money. The question is, how can we position the problem to attract investments? So with this, I turn it to Dr. Antoine Barbery. I think we're going to shift a little bit the conversation from technology and investment to the people, to the person, to the human aspect of the individual. So I turn it over to you, Dr. Antoine.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Rodrigo,
yes.
Is the screen?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Rodrigo, for having me being part of this really interesting meeting I guess I will be talking about something, to complete what has been already mentioned with the previous two speakers. I will have a different approach, and I would like to really emphasize on the importance, yes, of research and scientific innovation, but the most important is to see at what cost. And I'm going to review with you what happened so far over the last, maybe 50 to 100 years in terms of the last industrial revolution, and we'll see what we can learn from it. So the outline of my talk first, I will look at some historical data, very few, on humanity and the evolution of humanity. Then I will show you the burden of this historical in terms of the diseases all over the world. We'll look at the mechanisms behind this, why this happened, what's behind it, which is the domestication process. And of course, we have to see if there is any solution from this learning process. Well, Carl Sagan is an American astronomer who did, in fact, he mapped into a single human year the cosmic calendar, which involved 13.8 billion years in lifetime. And as you can see, he did it over 12 months. And since the beginning of the Big Bang, which happened 13.5 billion years ago. And moving to the Milky Way that formed 8 to 9 billion years ago, to the solar system that we live in today, 5-6 billion years ago, and finally the beginning of life on Earth was started 3.5 to 4 billion years ago, and each month is the equivalent of 1.1 billion year, and in terms of cosmic time, every second in real time is the equivalent of 434 cosmic year. And if we look at our existence as a human during 70 to 80 years of our lifetime, this will represent 1/6 to 1/7 second in 1 year lifetime. So you can see our contribution to the total cosmic evolution is almost non-existing. This is the evolutionary process of the social brain, where over the last 3.5 to 4 billion years since the existence of life on Earth, where 2 million years ago, we have the Homo erectus, and I'm not going to go through the whole steps of this evolution, but very important of the last 12,000 years, which were start the Neolithic period in the humanity evolution. And this really basically involved 4 important revolutions, starting with the agricultural revolution, which started probably 12,000 years ago, the urban revolution, followed by the industrial revolution, which was 300 years ago, and finally, over the last maybe 50 to 100 years, the information technology and the digital revolution that you've been hearing, about with the previous speakers. And so, what happened for us? Look at what happened to humanity over the millions of years ago. We moved from the, ancestors to the standing person, the human, and over the last half century, we moved from, to this situation where we have the obese, smoking, drinking human. Our ancestors used to eat healthy. Today we eat junk food, and we moved from the 1990s, from the big TV and the thin man, to the currently the thin, screen with the big guy, and now moving to the totally, sedentary lives, staying in our chairs, smoking, drinking, watching TV, having our food being delivered and being prepared by a robot. So you see, this is what has been going on. So what's the current situation? What's the cost of all what has been going on so far in terms of world disease burden? This is what's happened. Obesity today is ramping. It's pandemic all over the world, and specifically in the industrialized country, the 2 continents, such as the USA and in Europe. Some statistics, we have nearly 2/3 of the population of the world is obese or overweight today. The population in the USA, the adult population, nearly 35% are classified as obese, and 1/3 of the children and adolescents are obese or overweight. and obesity contribute to nearly 3.4 to 4 million deaths on a yearly basis. What's happening today in the COVID-19 pandemics, obesity seems to play a major role. Nearly 80% of the people who died from COVID-19 are people with obesity, and today we know in science that COVID-19, and all other infectious disease are really rooted into a metabolic process that lead to the mechanism of the disease, as well as involve and decrease the host defense in response to the infection. This is the results of the obesity. These are two brothers, adolescent brothers, who were reported by the CNN that died in Florida within a week in the hospital from COVID-19. You can see the morbid obesity. They didn't die from COVID-19. They died with COVID-19 from this morbid obesity they suffer from. Now, today, obesity in children is a major problem. It's pandemic, and really it is responsible for social isolation, low self-esteem, low academic performance, as well as depression and anxiety. Obesity in children is associated with both short and long-term comorbidities, such as diabetes, metabolic syndrome, high blood pressure, kidney disease, and psychological problem, which will lead to accelerated heart disease and cardiovascular disease, as well as an alteration of the immune system, both of them leading to increased risk of early mortality in adult life. This is the second consequence of the industrial revolution in terms of a disease. This is one of the major addiction today, which is smoking. And people smoke, in fact, as you can see, saying that smoking kills you, smoking causes cancer, and still people are smoking. And the most important collective problem of state of unconsciousness is today the widespread of hubble-bubble smoking among the young population and the adult population. And very important, another important addictive process, which is the addiction to screen and all what results from in terms of negative effects such as depression and anxiety, the unrealistic expectation, the negative body image, and the unhealthy sleep patterns, and of course the general addiction to the screen. In terms of global mortality all over the world, it's estimated to be around 57 million deaths every year in the world, with nearly 70%, which amount to 41 million deaths, are usually related to non-communicable disease, which in the majority of these communicable diseases are defined as cancer, obesity, heart disease, lung disease, metabolic syndrome, and diabetes. This is the same as they are responsible, the consequence of what I just mentioned before. So what's the mechanism behind this whole burden of disease? It is, in fact, the domestication process. And what is the domestication process? In order to understand it, we need to understand the human being and how it functions. The human being, in fact, we can look at it as a biomechanical machine involving three components: the soul, the body that incarnate into the body, with the mind being the coordinator between the soul and body and mind. It is a vehicle, okay, where the soul incarnate, take a shape in the body, and this vehicle, usually it is driven by two components, two drivers or two pilots, the pilot and the co-pilot, which is the co-pilot is the subconscious mind. As subconscious mind, it is very important, is the copy-paste of what we call today the artificial intelligence. It's very powerful mind. It's a power of it's a mind of memory. The problem, it is blind. It needs information. It needs guidance from the co-pilot, which represent the conscious mind, which receive its information from the soul itself, receiving the information from the divine or from the universal energy. So the human being, in fact, to function, it has to function with the body, mind, soul that's supposed to be in perfect harmony. A harmony between the spiritual, between the mental, the emotional, and the physical. However, this perfect harmony is not enough to be only at the level of the human being. This harmony has to be in perfect alignment with the divine source. So since we are a part of this divine source. So if we look at the humanity today, we are human beings that are interconnected and connected to the universal energy within Mother Nature and within the universe. The center of this whole system is one, it is the universal energy. So if we want to understand how the mind function, well, this is first we have the subconscious mind, as we said, that control the vital functions that are important for survival, which is the breathing system, the heart, the cardiovascular system, and the immune system. The subconscious mind also, it is a mind of memory, feeling, and emotion and behavior. As I said, it is the mind of the memory. It is like a hardware, like the artificial intelligence. It has an unlimited space. It's extremely important. The only problem, it is blind, it cannot see. That's why it needs the guidance from the conscious mind, which is a mind of intelligence, of willpower, of imagination, of creativity, of critical thinking, and of logic. And the most important is the mind of love. Normally, the conscious mind as a human is supposed to control the subconscious mind. However, during the stressful situation, this connection between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind disappear, and we are left usually at the mercy of the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is programmed through our life and during three important periods. The first one is the embryonic development. The second is the early childhood, and the third one is the adolescence, the adolescent time, where the hormonal upheaval exists. And in fact, today we know that many of the pathologies that occur in the adult life might have a very important link with these early events. So what happened during our in utero life, what our embryonic or fetal life, where there is a connection between the embryo and the mother, this connection are two types. There is a chemical connection, which is hormonal, and the second is electromagnetic. And very important also, the fetus or the embryo as an independent entity has its own connection also with the outside world. So whatever happened during the fetal life has a major impact, on later on in the adult life. These are the number of studies that looked at the importance of prenatal stress on the gene expression, as well as on the child development later on in life at the psychological, emotional, and physical level. The second hit for the domestication process, it is after birth during the first 6 to 7 years of life, where the brain function in a theta wave activity. It is in an hypnotic state, and the brain acts as a sponge, and all the acquired thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, and the consequent patterns become hardwired in the subconscious mind in the form of the programs, algorithms, exactly like in the artificial intelligence that control our behavior and our outcome later on in life. And this control usually the subconscious mind control 95% of our life. It's controlled by the subconscious mind, and only 5% we are conscious. Well, who are the major domestication institution? We said we already talked about the family. Religion is very important, and of course, and politics, and most important today, the media play a major role in domesticating humanity. All this being under the monetary system. So religion, school, politics, culture, and science domesticate the parents who ended up, domesticating the child. All this being also under the control of the media, which is completely controlled by the monetary system. And you can see the information technology and that we're talking about play a major role in such a process, as well as the financial establishment and the industrial complex. What are the tools for this domestication process? They are very important tools. Most of them are negative tools, and the most important tools are the fear, guilt, and sanction that we can see today has been used to domesticate humanity during the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemics. All this to protect a system of reward and punishment system, and to build an ego, which could be our hero or our saboteur. What are the consequences of the state of subconsciousness? The consequence is that we, as I said, in a lifetime of 80 years, we end up being subconscious in 96% of the time, and only 4% of our time, of our day of life activity, we are conscious. Now, this conditioning process results into the individual as well as a collective subconsciousness that lead us to a focus mainly on conditioning, mainly on materialism, consumerism, greed, fame, and politics and religion, all this to acquire power, Acquiring power is, of course, is to get the control, and this will generate the stress. The stress that is generated in the people who, in the institution who try to control, or mainly in the people who are becoming controlled. And there is only today we heard, and we've been hearing about this, the only unifying universal religion we have today, it is the financial, where we combine on the dollar you can see, in God we trust. So the causes of this global mortality, this stress that is generating by the domestication process, is leading to a very important factor, which is suicide, that usually involve 800,000 deaths every year. This year, it has increased by 40% during the year 20, during the pandemics. It increased by 40% to reach 1.1 million deaths. And the most important, it is that the suicide is the second leading death in the people aged between 15 and 29 years globally. These are the age interval where we're supposed to be the healthiest and the happiest. So there's something wrong going on, and this is the results of it. Is there any solution for the for this to counteract the consequence and this negative effect of this historical this historical evolution? Yes, it is emotional intelligence. Yeah, you know that there are 4 types of ages, or 4 types of intelligence. There is the chronological intelligence, which is related to the age. There is the biological age, which is the physical age. There is the intellectual and mental age. But most important, there is the emotional and spiritual age, which end up controlling all and influencing all the ages. It is very important for us when we become conscious, is we need to become conscious of our subconsciousness. And I love this frame, because it shows that this child coming out of the frame of domestication that has been set and imposed upon him, and trying to look to the outside world and to regret every moment he had lived that has been imposed on him by tradition. So our conscious, or of our subconsciousness, then we need to ask the following questions. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? Why I'm so? Why I'm here? Where I'm going? Is this what I want to be? What should I do? All these questions are extremely important for us to wake up, to get out of this subconscious state. In order to do this, we need to have access to knowledge. As we've been hearing today, we had a lot of knowledge. We had access to knowledge. We need to understand, we need to accept this knowledge. We need to understand it. We need to assimilate and digest this knowledge. What does it mean for us? How it can help us? We need to go through a critical thinking to understand what is the problem we have and how this knowledge can help us. And then we need to make decisions. And once we decide, we need to execute. And most important, we need to go through an audit process in order to see whether we are on the right track or we need to change direction. And the most important to know that during this process, we can regress, but as I said, the most important is to keep on going up the ladder. So intelligent knowledge is power. Excessive knowledge could be very toxic, as it is today with all the info obesity that surrounds us. And most important, lack of knowledge is disastrous and can put us back into the unconscious state. This is to show you that the biological, this is a child, the 11-year-old child, who was reported in 2003 by the Time magazine to be the first child to suffer from adult type 2 diabetes, which means chronologically this person, this child was 11-year-old, biologically she was 40 or 50. A nerd, somebody who is highly intelligent intellectually, but the emotionally usually are extremely weak and completely deficient. I had when I was doing my specialty, internal medicine specialty in the US, one of my, the resident with us was a nerd, extremely have a high level of intellectual IQ. He scored 100% on every test we did. They ended up kicking him out of the program because he could not use all this information he has in a critical way to help his patient. So he was kicked out of the program. So today we have to look at human. We are a biomechanic machine. Humans are a biomechanic machine driven by our sensations, our feelings, and our emotion that are generated by the thought that originate from our perception of the outside world. And our perception are determined by the way our beliefs that are acquired through the domestication process. So when we perceive the outside world, is perceived according to our belief. So we don't see what we are supposed to see. We see what we want to see according to our belief. This perception is translated into a thought that lead to a feeling, specific feeling and emotion that will lead to a specific mental or physical or both mental and physical behavior. We need to understand that these beliefs are originating, as I explained to you, from the domestication process. So what we see in the outside world, it is what we want to see and not what we are supposed to see. Now, this process from the domestication all the way to the thought, it's an energetic, it's an invisible, immaterial process. The role of the brain is to transform this process from an energetic state to a chemical state. So this is what the brain is, the function of the brain is that to transform our thoughts into chemistry. And Buddha have said what we think we become. And in order to summarize this, so our perception to the outside world is determined by our belief that is derived from the domestication process. This perception will be transformed by the nervous system, by the brain, to activate or to suppress our gene that will end up leading to our behavior. So our perception activate or suppress the genes, our perception rewrite the genes, our perception control our behavior, and most important, our beliefs control our perception. So whatever we believe, it affects the way we perceive the world. And in order to go through this, we need a coach. And the most important coach that we can think of is Mother Nature. Why? Because Mother Nature has millions of years of experience managing an entire planet. So the body, our body, mind, and soul within nature, this is what represents the human being. And the human being, since we are an extension of Mother Nature and we are a part of Mother Nature, we should be in perfect harmony with nature and her laws. What are these laws? It's cooperation, it's adaptation, it's sharing, it's satisfaction, it's harmony, it's simplicity, it's diversity, it's tolerance, balance, resilience, timing, and recycling. And the most important, all these laws are the most important ingredients for the utmost law of nature, which is love, the only thing that we can give, even if we did not have it. Love is the only natural resource that strengthens our once planted and shared, in contrast to all other material resources that dilute and weaken once divided. So it's time for humans to become conscious and loving in complete harmony with Mother Nature and her laws. And to conclude, the big question should not be whether we want innovation, technology, and research to improve our quality of life, but rather what kind of innovation and technology is there. We just want an emotionally intelligent innovation and technology that is protective, that is cost-effective, eco-friendly, and in perfect harmony with Mother Nature and her law. Thank you for listening and ready for any question.
Thank you so much, it's amazing how you were able to take us in multi-billion years journey and make us, feel as if we are nothing on this planet, and how our impact is very minimal to the nature, and how much we can learn from nature, from the whole ecosystem of the nature. So we will get to that more. I think we have even some questions related to the medicine and biology of the human on the questions. But without any further ado, Jessica from Unicef will be speaking about entrepreneurship and digital capability development programs. So I turn it to Jessica, and then we will start after that with the questions and answers. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rodrigue, for organizing this, and hi everyone. I'm a bit conscious of time, so I'm not going to go with a lot of details. I'll just go briefly and explain UNICEF's global stance regarding innovation and digital skills. So in 2004, UNICEF established something called the Office of Innovation in HQ. It's global. It's a global office, and their strategy was titled Matching Today's Challenges with Tomorrow's Solutions. The Office of Innovation, mainly, the vision of it is they define innovation as a new or any improved solution that contributes to the progress of children and young people in the world, and it accelerates the results that we aim to achieve with children and youth, mainly education, skills building, employment opportunities, life skills, health, etc. And it is about doing new things to solve problems and improve the lives of children around the world. It's about matching today's challenges with tomorrow's solution. So that's the main aim of UNICEF's Innovation Office. They took this interest in this because around the world, whenever UNICEF was trying to solve a global issue related to poverty, to sanitation, to wash issue, they found that the only way to be able to solve these solutions is to look for solve these problems is to look for new solutions, to think outside the box and use things that no one has ever used to try to attain to those challenges. So the main thesis here is that taking a problem-focused approach and selecting portfolios of innovation around the world and scaling it up to accelerate the result and create a better impact. So the Office of Innovation at the global UNICEF has spread worldwide, and they try to look across the world for innovative solution and scale them up, fund them to be able to have a global impact. The categories of innovation that UNICEF focuses on is one, digital innovations. So mainly they look for new or existing digital technologies that are adapted into solution and they scale them. For example, they have a big interest in virtual and augmented reality lessons, in data and digital health tools, an accessible digital textbooks, mobile youth platforms. So they have like this prototype they did in Kenya, where they used augmented reality and virtual reality to create the camps. So anyone from anywhere around the world can just put the VR glasses or machine on their head, and they can see how the refugees live in camps, and it's like they're there. It looks so real, it's so nice, and it helped a lot of donors to see really how people are living and to commit more funds and to try to help more. We also have a physical product innovations. It mainly focuses on the delivery of services such as the vaccination. So UNICEF is the global, the leading organization in the vaccination, and now also we're taking a stance for the COVID vaccination. And of course, for this we really need technologies, and we really need innovative mechanisms and solutions to be able to deliver fast and to accommodate and adapt with the fast track that the world is living in. The way we try to look for innovation is from the youth themselves and from high-tech frugal solutions. So UNICEF contributed to the development of Field Lab, a 3D printed solar-powered lab-in-box that is affordable mobile. It handles molecular biology in harsh conditions. So they invested in that, and it really served the health section, the child protection section, and it was scaled up to worldwide. They also established social innovation entrepreneurship program, which we will discuss in more details. And the aim of it is mainly to build the skills of youth and their critical thinking and analytical thinking, and thinking outside the box and looking for alternative technological solutions to address the world's problem. So how is that? How is innovation talking to the UN SDGs, or what's known as the 2030 global agendas? So as you may know, UNICEF, not only UNICEF, the UN as a whole agency, have something called the 2030 agenda, which by 2030 they aim to reach specific targets in 16 different fields. So we have 16 SDGs. With innovation and the strategy that UNICEF took for innovation, they wanted to address the SDG 6, 3, and 4. So 6 is regarding clean water and sanitation. And under SDG 6, we have 6.2, which is by 2030, achieve access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene for all and end up in the edification, paying special attention to the needs of women and girls and those in vulnerable situations. So that's like the goal for 2030. Universal access to basic sanitation services is the goal, but the current annual rate of progress is very slow, and we had the world needs to find some solutions or some initiatives to accelerate this progress to be able to achieve the SDG. So that's why UNICEF, through the Innovation Lab, will leverage innovation in the WASH field to foster new programming models and management practices to encourage a new private sector partnership in the area of sector financing, information analysis, social change, and the strengthening of enabling environment. So we're really focusing, and this year especially, we're focusing on climate tech, agri-tech, ocean tech, so everything that has to do with the environment and specifically with clean water. In Lebanon as well, we have partnered with many stakeholders from the private sector, such as Beditech. There is also the Waterlution organization. So we try to youth innovation and teach youth to think about how can they, if they don't know about the issues and they don't know about the tools that they can use, they will never be able to find a solution that is sustainable and that actually tackles the problem. Another SDG that the innovation strategy focuses on is good health and well-being. So under SDG 3, we have that by 2030, reduce the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000 live births. On the current trend, 26 million newborns will die between 2019 and 2030. Every day, 800 women die from pregnancy-related complications. That's currently. So we aim by 2030 to really lower this number. And that's why here, high-impact interventions, innovative high-impact interventions will include treatment for pneumonia, vaccine coverage, building stronger health systems, care at birth, and the first week of life, engaging with mother health workers and their communities. The third SDG is quality education, and under it we have that by 2030 we have to ensure that all boys and girls will complete free, equitable and quality primary and secondary education, leading to relevant and effective learning outcome. And you all know that this is the only way that young people will be able to have employment opportunities. Currently the progress rate is also very slow. We have 420 million people, kids who will not learn the most basic skills in childhood, and 825 million will not acquire the basic secondary level skills. If we proceed with the rate that now the world is working towards, by 2030 we haven't reached the goal. So that's why what UNICEF tries to focus on is to merge education and innovation in a way that to invest in digitizing curriculum and transforming the learning ecosystem and ameliorating the quantity and quality of available learning opportunities inside or even outside the school, especially now with COVID. All schools have been closed, learning centers have been closed, so we had to look for other alternatives, and we were very fast to respond to this change because we already have started digitizing our learning curriculum. We have used WhatsApp, something called eFlow. It's a self-paced learning on WhatsApp. We have used gamification. Now in Lebanon, we're trying to partner with the Ministry of Education to introduce a platform called the Learning Passport that doesn't require internet. Youth can just log in and they can download the curriculum and they learn it on the self-prompt. So one module that the Office of Innovation took to address mainly the youth population is something called Upshift. So Upshift is a program that is designed to build transferable skills and create opportunities with a focus on the most disadvantaged youth, including refugees and displaced population. When we looked around the world, we noticed that mainly those who know what is innovation, what is digital skills, what is entrepreneurship, is those youth who have the privilege to go to decent university and to be able to be exposed to opportunities and indulge in workshops and search on the internet for things. However, in our third world countries, these type of skills and learning opportunities are not available to half of the population, if not even more. Of course, now it's even more in Lebanon. So Upshift was designed to address those kinds of youth as well. We want everyone to be included because the solution is not only from one person. We need the next generation to be innovative leaders, to know what the world will need, how can we address the world issues, and how to attain sustainable development. So usually the Upshift module is delivered through schools, centers, and innovation lab. What is Upshift? So Upshift is a combination of outreach, inspiration, mentorship, and mainly it's a human-centered design workshops where youth are taught how to learn creative thinking and of course merge with digital skills. They are able to come up with the solutions, and the solutions that are scalable or are viable are usually funded by Unicef's seed funding money, and we tend to scale this project to reach a wide impact. In Lebanon, the Upshift is delivered through our GIL network. So we've established something called GIL. GIL stands for Generation of Innovation Leaders. We have around Lebanon 13 innovation labs, and these labs serve as a hub where youth can just come and learn all digital skills. They learn the social entrepreneurship track. They benefit from mentorship, from coaching. Now we also launched Fab Labs, fabrication labs, where they can just prototype, use 3D printing machines, vinyl cutter, etc. GIL in Lebanon has been running since 2016, but it was officially launched in 2017. And as you can see on the map, we have locations around Lebanon. UNICEF in Lebanon really wanted to enhance and make sure that we are bridging this gap we have between the skills of the future and the youth in Lebanon. We wanted to create this bridge for them to be able to find jobs and to actually be part of the economy and the future of jobs. So far, we have trained around 18,000 youth. What's really interesting is that we always have more females than males, so we really have this gender equality. We have a lot of workshops that are dedicated to girls. We try to include girls in STEM education, We have something called Girl Got IT, where girls come and learn about STEM education. It's a workshop. They learn about the employment opportunities, where can they venture more, etc. We also dispersed around $1 million in seed funding on youth-led projects. And usually the projects have to address a certain social issue or the national issue. Now we're focusing more on environmental issues. We also have agriculture as a main theme. We had a lot of ideas on solar systems, on irrigation systems. So youth really come up with amazing ideas once we create this ecosystem and we give them room to think outside the box and we give them the tools to do so. 1,710 youth have received seed funding so far, and again 51% of them are females. They are female-led initiatives. The survey was done in September 2020, and 70% of the launched business were still running, and they had so far made 200K in revenues. And thank you. I think we'll just open room for questions now, and I can answer any question you have.
Thank you. It's very nice to know about the local initiatives and the international initiatives that Unicef is doing. I think the immediate question which I will pose on behalf of the students, because I know you have to leave early, is how do they know the closest center to attend to? Is there any website you can refer them to look into?
So on Facebook, we have a page called Generation of Innovation Leaders, GIL, and there they can find about all the opportunities around them and the partners we have. So we have many partners. We have DOT, Digital Opportunity Trust. They provide all digital skills. We have Veritech as partner. They manage the Fab Labs and they do workshops. On how to use AutoCAD, how to use 3D printer, etc. We have Nawaya and Jazz. We have many partners, and each partner is specialized in something. So we have partners specialized in digital skills. Now we're trying to introduce the advanced portfolio. We're looking for ways on how to introduce more advanced courses, because so far what we have is the basic digital skills, but the world is moving too fast, and we're trying to accommodate this. So also we want to introduce in the labs in Lebanon more advanced technologies, more advanced skills, and we're trying also to create this incubator, accelerator hub, where all youth with ideas can come and they can benefit from coaching, mentorship, and hopefully seed funding. So everything is posted on the official page on Facebook with the links and how to register and who to contact if anyone is interested.
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you ever run into issues and too many people applying?
Actually, yeah, but we always have room because the sessions we do them on a monthly basis. And each month we have like 20 cycles running at the same time across the 13 labs in Lebanon. Excellent.
So basically, this will comfort, I think, the audience that whoever is interested, whoever is eligible and will work, can have a chance to access funds and basically solve the problem.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy as well to collaborate, and share our knowledge with you, and collaborate with this great program.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're really working on enhancing the ecosystem in Lebanon and creating referral pathway to provide this holistic approach for youth, where they can never feel like they're out of the circle. We want them to feel there is an actual ecosystem in Lebanon that encourages them to think about the future. They do not. I know the situation now is very tough, and maybe people are only thinking about how to provide food. But when we're here, we're trying to tell them that they do have other alternative options. We're ready to support. There is an ecosystem here, so they have the right to dream and to be ambitious and to think outside the box.
That's great.
Yes. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Wasim, as well. I think this will enable a more international access and exposure to every talent. We have a question. Will commercial pilots disappear in the future? I think, Wasim, would you like to take this?
Well, definitely there are some jobs, is going to be replaced, as we mentioned, but we don't know at this point of time.
Another question is, will pharmacy as a major still be good in the future? Dr. Antoine, how do you think the pharmacy? You are on mute. You are on mute. I cannot hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for this question. I personally believe I practice holistic medicine, which, as I try to reflect in some of my slides, that the human being is a soul that incarnates into a body to experience a materialistic and a physical life, during which it can transform, refine itself, and cleanse itself before it goes back to the universal energy. So looking at the patient, I don't look him as a body. I look at him as predominantly as a soul with the clinical manifestation that are the cause for the consultation that they come to me. So holistic medicine does not rule out completely allopathic medicine, which is a current medicine we practice through the treating disease with medication. Holistic medicine really look at the patient as a whole. And most important is, I believe that in the future, since the patient is the one who creates his underlying disease, the patient will be himself, after guidance and holistic guidance, can lead, this can lead to the recovery or the healing of the patient by himself or herself. So medicine might be important in the future, but I think the future will be completely, it's an energetic medicine where mainly the energy, it's through the energetic approach, patient can be healed from their disease by making them aware and conscious of what's going on in their life. So pharmacy would not disappear, but would not have pharmaceutical drugs would not have the same importance and emphasis as we have today. And in particular, you see during the pandemics, now everything is centered over the vaccine, which I don't believe it is the solution. The solution is somewhere else. Maybe we can discuss it in a different time, but for the sake of time. So pharmacy will be there, but it would not have the same importance as we have today.
Thank you. I'm a science economics student. Can I work in the internet sector? And can I do it through digital economy, or do I have to choose another major? What do you think, Wasim?
This is a great question. Definitely, like as we mentioned in the presentation, these kind of jobs will appear now, and there is a big demand. And talking about internet, even like gaming, if you are going to play game later on, it's going to be a job. So everything related to digital marketing, digital economy, all of these stuff, you're going to see like big demands in the future.
And also the same, I think the same question would apply is the management information system. I think it's
definitely.
Yeah.
So data will drive the information. Information is required for analytics. That's MIS is required in the future.
I need someone's opinion on healthcare management. Healthcare management. is that a discipline, a course, healthcare? Have you ever heard about it, Dr. Antoine? Maybe.
You know, management of healthcare. It is managing hospital. You know, all institutions related to healthcare. Yeah, there is a discipline for management of healthcare. You go and study, and so you can take care of a hospital or some sectors in the healthcare sector. But I have personally a question: where is the place? Where is going to be the place for the non-digital humans who will be interested in the digital? See, it's all the presentation today, you know, that's why I gave some, you know, the way I said it, it is all focused on material. And of course, for the material, you need money and as we've seen today, we've been domesticated in a way that we focus that our main security is material, is consumption, is materialism, is all, and you need the money for this. So, but where is the place for those who, like myself, I am into the digital, but where is the place for those who are not, you know, want to be outside the digital? Is there any place for them? Or they will be completely wiped out?
Definitely there is a place, but I think they need also to consider like adopting the revolution, adopting to the new requirements. It's like, take like, I like the example that Rodrigue mentioned in his presentation about the smartphone, right? Like many of like our parents, they didn't use WhatsApp before when like it was invented, and later on they start to adapt and use the WhatsApp. It was like really a great platform to collaborate and talk to them, you know, and share information. These kind of technologies, I think you can adapt slowly, but not the same level. So definitely there is a place, and the adoption doesn't need to be holistic. It can be like with levels. I don't know, Rodrigue, if you agree with me.
Yeah, I think it's a selective process. You can choose and you can decide, and you have the power to decide how much you want to insert technologies and digitalization around you. You can decide to turn off Wi-Fi at home. You can decide not to have a smart home. You can decide not to use a car. I mean, if you would like to live in a prehistoric age, you can. And if you would like to, when you don't feel well, you would like to have a certain medicine. I mean, medicine does not come without research, without innovation, without development. So I think we have to have a combination. We have to be conscious. I think the answer is consciousness in selecting what to have, and not to be just driven unconsciously without thinking.
Yeah, but the question is now, with the information technology and the Internet of Things and the smart cities and the 5G, you know that this cannot happen unless we are within a system that is where the 5G is imposed, because people will be exposed to the most common today pollution, which is the electromagnetic pollution. See? And will be, whether you want to have the 5G to be part of it or not, living in a specific place, like what happened in Wuhan, where people were microwaved by the 5G, having 10,000 antennas. And I think in the future, we're going to have 22,000 satellites blanketing Earth in order to connect Earth completely. So Earth becomes completely a 5G location. So how can you avoid this? And 5G, we know today, 5G, there is a great concern, and I am one of the vocal about this, with many other scientists in the world, that 5G can be extremely harmful to our well-being.
I think there is a debate about 5G and in different countries, and some of this debate is really political, but it's always good to have like doctors like you, Dr. Antoine, you know, to make a balance, and also to remind us that we need to think twice when we apply new technologies. I'll take it from this way, and right, So the balance in everything is really required, and applying technologies is not always like good thing. Like we need also to consider the risks that we are going to have. Anything now evolving, you can see like the good and the bad thing, the advantage and disadvantage. It's about how it's applied and where it's applied and by whom it's applied. And that's why I really like your presentation about we need always to think about technologies and think about families, about the earth, about all of these, and it's about love and really how to take the advantage from all of this, not just okay think about it's nice to have, just take it or apply it in a different ways that will not help the humanity.
I like what you said, Wasim, and I fully agree with you. And this is my discussion always with Rodrigue is about this, how to find the balance. I'm for technology. I'm, for science. I'm a researcher myself. I am an academician. The issue is today, many scientists believe that the sixth extinction is going to be man-made because of this rapid and uncontrolled evolution of the digital and the information technology. And this is a concern of many people like myself and other people. We want the technology, but also we want to be aware that to include everybody, we want a safe technology. We want a safe research. We want a cost-effective, eco-friendly, as I said, that is in line with because Mother Nature has 4 billion years of evolution. We have 50 years of history in the information technology. And the scary thing is going too fast. And this is where we have to be very careful not to go over the limits. See, this is my main concern.
Yeah, the balance is always required. I agree.
So we have an interesting question. Will robots replace completely doctors?
Let me explain. I think I mentioned this in my talk, that robot, it's the artificial intelligence. I don't think the artificial intelligence is not an intelligence. It is an intelligent, it is a artificial, it's in hardware. In fact, the so-called artificial intelligence, it is copy-paste of the subconscious mind. If you remember what I said in my presentation, and this is all scientific, the subconscious mind, it is the hardware of our memories, of our feeling, of our emotions. The big problem of the subconscious mind, it is blind. So all depend how we program the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind, it is a algorithm. It's billions and billions of algorithms. It has no intelligence. Even if it's learning now, as I said, we get programmed. We learn as a human through the domestication process. But at the end, you need the guide. You need the co-pilot. That is the soul. That is in contact with the soul. The artificial intelligence is not in contact with the soul. Is not in contact with the universal energy. So it's extremely important we need the robot, no doubt. We need the artificial intelligence to improve our performance. But we cannot leave the decision-making up to the artificial intelligence. That's why we are the superior beings.
So I think robotic, in other terms, it's here to help the doctor be more efficient and more effective in what he's doing, but not to replace him.
Exactly.
I think robotic also will help, like a doctor is to perform or conduct an operation remotely. That's a great use.
Absolutely.
That's a great use. So like for emergencies, you can operate like later on, you can conduct an operation from home, let's say. And this is really a great application of technologies. This is what we want to evolve. This is what we want, to apply. This is where we want to apply technologies.
It is already done, Wasim.
I know.
From distance. The issue is, I spoke that I personally practice holistic medicine, where I look at the soul and the body together and not separate. As today, conventional medicine, if you have a psychological problem, you go see the psychiatrist. If you have a physical problem, you can see the doctor. I don't. I do both for my patient, and it works very well. That you can understand the patient understand that he's not a body. He is a body and a soul that is supposed to be in perfect harmony. The robot cannot do this. And this is where the danger today, they're trying to make the robot like having program in medicine, having computer where you can do the diagnosis. No way. When you know the complexity of the human being, not the human being himself, every cell in the human being, there's no way a robot or any super robot will be able to understand the complexity of the human being. No way.
Definitely.
So we're way over time, but I think it was a very interesting and insightful discussion. I'm sure we will have. I would like to thank you, our speakers, really for your insights and time. I would like to thank all the attendees and the interesting questions that we have. This event, as I said, is recorded. We will be sharing the links with all the registrants, especially the ones who could not join us. And I look forward to having more discussions in the future. Maybe we can have more specific topics that we can debate around with subject matter experts, and leave more, again, provide as well more room for students to also join us and question certain topics. Thank you again very much, everyone. And by the way, you will be receiving a survey in the next 24 hours. Please fill the survey. It will give us more insights. If you like the event, if you would like to hear more about specific topics, you can choose and give us more insights. What would you like to hear from us about? And we look forward to hearing from you. Have a nice evening.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank
you.
Thank you, Dr. Antoine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.